What's up guys, Ray at Sahara Coins here. This month we're going to take a different approach to some of the videos that we're doing, and we want to do something a little more educational. You're going to be seeing photos of coins that we're explaining. We're really going to dig deep into picking off some counterfeits, more ways than just the weight and the measurement. We're going to look at things like the mint marks and the different things we see commonly on counterfeits as opposed to the real coins. Again, this is going to be a little further advanced than some of the other videos, but I know this is important stuff. You guys love some of the rarities that we've shown you, and some of the double dies in particular, but those are the ones that there are a lot of counterfeits of. So we're going to help you guys to get through those this month. If you have any questions or you want to learn about some other ones, just let us know. We'll do what we can to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right guys, now we're gonna go over the 1955 double die Lincoln cent. Now for those of you that have been collecting for a while, you absolutely know what coin I'm talking about. This is the double die that people look for. I mean, the 55 double die is just a beautiful coin. But let's kind of get into it a little bit. I'm going to talk first a little bit about the coin, and then I'll tell you some of the stuff you can look for on counterfeits. When a modern coin die is created, it's struck from a working hub. That actually places an incuse image onto that die that'll eventually be used to strike coins. Normally this requires multiple blows. And in 1955, one of the working obverse dies at the Philadelphia Mint was actually misaligned on the second blow from the working hub, and that's actually what resulted in the double dyed image. Due to the manner in which the hubbing was carried out, it most noticeably affected the date and inscriptions on that coin. And that's going to be on the obverse side where you're going to see the dramatic doubling. With very little doubling is noticed on the chest of Lincoln. This doubling was visibly on all of the coins struck from that die. It's estimated that about 40,000 of these coins were minted, and they were all during a one-night shift at the Philadelphia Mint, with nearly about 20 to 24,000 of the coins were introduced into circulation after the minting error had taken place. Many of the errors were distributed out to the public in cigarette machines. A lot of people don't know that. The original cost of the pack was 23 cents. So for those of you that are smokers, you know that just the cigarettes alone cost a lot more than that right now. And the pack actually came with 2 pennies inside to square up the cost to 25 cents. It had to be inserted into the machine to purchase it. So if that didn't make any sense, basically they didn't give you change. You put in 25 cents, you got a pack of cigarettes that had 2 pennies in it to give you your 2 cents back. So that's how most of those were actually originally purchased, believe it or not. So smoking may kill, but coin collecting doesn't. So you got some nice coins out of that. Now there's a lot of counterfeits of those. I mean, I probably see more counterfeit 1955 double dies than I do any other Lincoln cent besides the 1909 SVDB. But we're going to go real quick over some of these things that you can look for on the counterfeits. Now there's a lot of information coming, so you might have to hit pause, rewind, play multiple times to get all this information if you're looking at one. So since this is one of the most sought after numismatic double dies, it's highly counterfeited. There's many things to look for on these counterfeit double dies, and with this coin in particular, you want to pay close attention to the strike of the coin and the clarity of the design devices. Now again, if you've been collecting, you know that devices I'm referring to, like the lettering, the dates, those would be called devices. Now, this first photo we're showing you, you can see in comparison to the struck counterfeit, which is a type of counterfeit, it shows obvious imperfections. The first thing is the thickness between the rim. There's also an extreme flatness to all the devices. The lettering and the items on the coin that stand off of the surface, as I had mentioned earlier. The spacing is also off. If you notice how close In God We Trust is to the rim of the counterfeit, which is not accurate to the original design. Another diagnostic to pay attention to is the letter thickness and uniformity of IN in in. Now this example, you can see that the D is much thicker than the authentic example as well. Now this next photo here, photo 2, would be, in comparison, it also carries the same issues as the last photo, but it adds a few more issues to the table. Take a look at the weakness of the counterfeit strike, as well as the flatness to the left-hand side of the W. It's very likely that the planchet used to strike this coin, it wasn't subjected to the upset mill that would have raised the rim correctly. From the looks of this strike, the field of the die used to strike this counterfeit most likely was curved to simulate the relief of a real rim. So when the W was hubbed into the die, it was hubbed too closely to the curved rim, causing it to come out incomplete on the top side of it. A genuine example of this coin will not show this characteristic anywhere on the coin. That's something to be very aware of. the strike on a genuine one, it's a pretty strong strike. You're not going to have that weakness like that. And just keep in mind too that not all counterfeits are going to show these same diagnostics. These are just great indicators to search for because we do see them on a lot of them. Now on this next one here, you'll see in this image that you can clearly see that the struck counterfeit is lacking detail on Lincoln himself. You can see the lack especially in the areas with the most fine details, like up near his nostril and his eyes. There's many other areas of the coin that you can see the weakness of the strike from the counterfeit as well. Now back to the spacing. As I've mentioned before, the spacing of the devices on the coin are really of utmost importance, especially on this specific counterfeit here. You can see that the L of Liberty is clearly touching the rim of the coin, which is not a normal characteristic at all. Now you'll also notice the lack of detail in the lettering and separation lines between the letters. The strike counterfeit shows mushy detail, and many of the letters have been struck together, which you won't see that on a genuine one. They don't strike letters together on those. There's a clear spacing. So the date is also an extremely important part of this. I mean, obviously it's a 55 double die, and one of the first things you'll usually see is that the date is clearly doubled and the spacing is all correctly. So you take a look at this, and the date is obviously the draw to this coin, but it's something you want to look at very closely because when trying to determine the authenticity of this coin, it's very important. If you look at the example, you will see that both of them show common diagnostics, that the one has a weak top, but counterfeits will sometimes show some of the diagnostics of a real coin, and that's why you check all the areas on the coin. If you look at the one, you will see that the counterfeit shows a clear-cut line between the one and the other one, the doubled one. This was done by the counterfeiter to give the one the doubled appearance. You'll also notice that the counterfeit does not show one of the diagnostics that you look for when trying to authenticate, which is the northwest to southeast die polish lines that show through the date, and they're definitely not present on this example. So that's a mouthful. I know that was probably a lot to go through, and like I said, you'll probably want to go back a couple of times and take a closer look at your coins. But all of these things are very important, and like I said, with this being such a large coin in collecting, there are lots and lots of counterfeits, and this is all information you can look at. But if you have any other questions, or if you have one and you're near us, or you want to send us some photos, we can do what we can to help you authenticate the coin. Thanks for listening to the video and watching it at the same time to learn all that cool stuff we just shared with you guys. If you want to learn more about those specific coins or others, feel free to leave a comment here. We'll go ahead and reply to that for you. Like the video, and please share this everywhere you can. Knowledge is power, and that's what we're trying to get across to you guys here. So thanks again, and have a good day.